Hey guys, welcome to our presentation today. My name is Paul Cho, and with my partner Yunso, we're going to be talking about... First of all, what does DNA even stand for? It stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. But okay, what does it do? Basically, what DNA does is carry genetic information or instructions of how the living thing is going to develop.
To be more specific, DNA encodes the sequence of amino acid residues in proteins using genetic code.
Ever wonder what it looks like? To describe the shape, it's two strands that wind around one another to form a shape known as a double helix. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with it, but it kind of looks like this. Also, fun fact, DNA spelled backwards is ant. And let's move on. The building blocks of DNA. There are three components that make up the building blocks of DNA. They're known as phosphate group, sugar group, and nitrogen bases. Now, those three components, each having their own nitrogen base, their nitrogen bases will pair with the opposing nitrogen base, which also has the other three components. The three components as a whole can be known as a nucleotide. And for those nitrogen bases, there are four. They are known as adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. Those bases pair up with each other, with adenine pairing up with thymine and cytosine pairing with guanine. Now, to classify these nitrogen bases, the adenine and guanine are known as purine, and the cytosine and thymine are known as pyrimidine. The pairing of the nitrogen bases can also be known as a hydrogen bond. These are the 6 major players in DNA replication. Number 1, the helicase is responsible for opening up the DNA for replication, as well as transcription of our DNA. Number 2, binding proteins, those attached to the DNA and help regulate DNA's function. Number 3, RNA primase. These are enzymes that synthesizes short RNA sequences called primers. And these primers serve as a starting point for DNA synthesis. Number 4, DNA polymerase. These are enzymes that create DNA molecules by assembling nucleotides. But what if there's a mistake in the replication of DNA? Those cause cancer. But what enzyme is in charge of fixing those mistakes? The DNA polymerase enzyme. Number 5, Okazaki fragments. It is named after a Japanese person. They are the building blocks for DNA synthesis of the lagging strand. Number 6, DNA ligase. They are an enzyme that link the two strands of DNA together by forming a bond between the phosphate group and the deoxyribose group on the other. Who discovered DNA? James Watson and Francis Crick. There was a Nobel Prize associated with DNA. Who received it? James Watson, Francis Crick, and Maurice Wilkins. There's another person named Rosalind Franklin, and her work laid the foundation for James Watson and Francis Crick's discovery of DNA. But unfortunately, she died before the Nobel Prize. She wasn't credited for her work. Now let's move on to RNA.